I should be like you, Melvin.
Ultimate on-demand destination for the UK's best fan-led football podcasts.
Want authentic supporter insight on all things Bournemouth? Follow Up the Cherries in all departments on the TalkSport Fan Network.
Club-dedicated content created by the fans, for the fans.
Search TalkSport Fan Network.
Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. This is the Up the Cherries in all departments transfer show live, and this is of course transfer deadline day. We've got loads coming up over the next couple of hours. Manny, Craig and Dylan will be going through each team and looking back at their transfer window, while I will be in the background updating the team and yourselves of any latest updates. And that now brings me on to introducing the host for the evening, and that is of course Mr. Craig Beazley. Mr. Beazley's in the house.
Hello, mate. You all right? How you doing?
Yeah, all good. I'm going to move on now. I'll be in the background, and you will see me. If you see me, it means it's an update. So over to you.
Happy days. Happy days. So, yes, you've got me, unless anything breaks, and then Matt's going to jump in. But hit like, hit subscribe, hit the bell button below. It helps this channel to grow. Also, thank you to our two sponsors. You've seen about Dental on the Banks at dentalonthebanks.co.uk, and of course Touchpoint Telecoms at touchpointtelecoms.co.uk for all your business telecoms needs. But of course, I have two very special guests with me, and first and foremost, I have got somebody who does football, has a problem with me, and also did a special show the other day about the Europa League journey. It is Manny Thangadurai. How you doing, mate?
All good, thank you, mate. All good. Can't wait to just sort of be a part of this transfer window, the dying embers, as it were.
Yes.
And certainly a lot of things have been updated. And I've also been, on another show which got over just before I hopped over here. About a few purchases that have been, done. And I think Matt has said that he will update them. But the funny thing about this window, of course, is just when you think you've got the inside information on everything, something just comes up and then you realize you haven't taken notice of that. So there are always going to be some, surprises. Since it's a September window, you've got no Christmas crackers. That's going to be for January. But maybe some Diwali crackers, given that Diwali is not too far away.
Right, very quickly then. So Man City have completed a deal for the Everton player. Craig, you know him very well, for 65 million. He's going to join on a contract until 2031. So that is, I've forgotten how to pronounce his name.
Iliman and Jai.
That's him.
Yes,
that is just literally broken now.
Well, I tell you what, that was pretty impressive. Dylan wasn't even in the room, and you know who's coming next. Before we had some breaking news, and here is the man himself. How you doing, mate?
I'm great, thank you, mate. Yeah, I can't believe we've already had some breaking news just as soon as we come on air, but with so little time left in the window, I guess it was a little bit unsurprising. But from a Liverpool fan
Yes.
perspective, it's been a frustrating deadline day, but I'm looking forward to discussing other deals that have gone down today for other Premier League clubs and discussing the window as a whole. So I can't wait to get into it.
100%. I'm loving the Kidderminster Harrier shirt. There
Absolutely,
we
yeah.
are.
A rare sponsor in Schmitter. I don't think many Premier League teams have that, or any team in the Football League, really. But
No, I don't think they have actually.
I don't
But
think we do, no. But for the first time in our history, we've got an embroidered badge on the replica top. So we're moving up in the world, Craig.
amazing, mate, amazing. And you know what? I actually really, really love your kits as well. And it is clean. It's nice. It is smooth, isn't it? And we do have somebody who you know very well as well. Here's Reese. How you doing, Reese? Good to see you, mate. Good to see you. And of course, we've already had one bit of breaking news. Ilman and Jai has gone to Manchester City. Of course, he was a player that AFC Bournemouth were linked with. I think we was priced out a bit. I would have loved to have seen him here, but hey, he's a Man City player. So I'll tell you what, where shall we start? Where shall we start? I know Matt's in the background. He can direct where we're going to start with this. Shall we go with some breaking news tonight? There we are. Happy days. Happy days. And the first bit of breaking news: Manchester City have agreed on £125 million deal to sign Chelsea midfielder Enzo Fernandez on deadline day. Of course, Enzo Fernandez didn't really adorn himself to the English faithful after his antics at the World Cup. Yes, it was a very, very nice goal, to be honest, but I wish it never happened, of course. But Enzo Fernandez is leaving Chelsea. He's going to Manchester City. He's not a very popular man on these shores, but I think he's letting his football doing the talking. Dylan, what do you make of this? Man City, £125 million. Of course, they got these 115 charges. We could bang on about that till, we're blue in the face. But do you think the Blues are losing, what is a really talented player, or do you think it's run its course at Chelsea for him?
Yeah, definitely. It's a really intriguing deal from all perspectives. Look, like you said, it felt like his times maybe on English soil were done after how he behaved after Argentina beat England in the World Cup semi-final. Seemed like he was going to go to Real Madrid, but that was also the case for Rodri. And now neither player are going to be playing at the Bernabeu next season. So Enzo Fernandez, will be a Manchester City player relinking up with Enzo Maresca from their time in Chelsea last year. This is now a British transfer record deal even, following on, it matches how much Liverpool spent on Alexander Isak this day last year, no less as well. So, it's a really interesting one. Fernandez, I think, is a really interesting player because for me, I'm not sure if is he really world class. Would I describe him as that? That's what the fee is suggesting. I think he can do a lot going forward. He can do well defensively. I think last year in the Premier League, 10 goals, 4 assists. So a good return for a midfielder, no doubt. But I do think he'll work really well at Manchester City. He's under a manager that he knows really well in Maresca. He's got a really nice midfield dynamics that he knows he can slot right into. And there are rumours as well that he's going to play a role in the captaincy team and Manchester City now as well. Maresca was adamant that he wasn't going to select his captain's group for the season until all was said and done in the transfer window. Was that because he knew he was after Enzo Fernandez, a player he knows really well, and wants to introduce him to that? So, a British transfer record for Enzo Fernandez. It's a really odd sentence to say, but from a Chelsea perspective, he's played a really crucial role in some of their recent success, winning the Club World Cup, winning the Conference League last year. And after signing him from Benfica for just over £100 million, they've been able to turn a profit on the Argentine after not really pulling up all the trees and really reaching the heights that they probably thought he would. So from a Chelsea perspective, I think they'll be happy to let him go and be able to make a profit on him. And then for Manchester City, they've got a good midfielder on their hands. How far he can go further in his game, I'm not really sure. I think that Fernandez has kind of reached the level. I'd be surprised if he can beat a world beater type of midfielder like Declan Rice, Vitinha, Rodri can be. So it's going to be interesting to see how his Manchester City career pans out. But for now, he's the most expensive player the Premier League has ever seen, alongside Alexander Isak, and that's certainly an intriguing statement to make.
It certainly is. It certainly is. And, we've already got one comment about Enzo Fernandez. Let us know in the comments what you think about Enzo Fernandez. And it's that. Enzo Fernandez equals rat. Yes, I'm pretty sure a lot of fans across this country will think that. Manny, I think you had a computer technical problem there, but you're back with us, mate.
Yeah.
What do you make of this deal?
Well, it's one of those deals more than anything else where basically both the clubs seem to be just happy that it's over and done with. There was, of course, a lot of talk about how Enzo would probably be leaving Chelsea. And, the sad part is, I remember you, Craig, making it crystal clear that you did not want to see Argentina win the World Cup. And I'll tell you what,
Yes.
because of guys like him, I completely understand. I think guys like him, Christian Romero, and one or two others are really just a bunch of absolute, for want of a nicer word, toughs. It was this guy was the young player of the World Cup in Qatar, and I was quite excited to see how he would develop. But as the years went by, his attitude has literally, left a sour taste in my mouth. Whether it was the singing of that ugly song after Argentina won the Copa America, or his antics on and off the field, his own off-field life, where apparently he ditched his loving family because he wanted to enjoy a single life and enjoy being single, so to speak, once again. And then, of course, he followed in the footsteps of Pedro Monzon and Gustavo Dossotti by getting himself sent off in the World Cup final, costing the legend Lionel Messi what would have been a very well-deserved second World Cup, in my opinion. I can't stand him. I can't stand him for the way he conducts himself. And I think a large number of Chelsea fans will say, you know what, we're just better off without him. His talent is not really, worth it. It's not worth keeping him. And so if it does seem to me that Maresca enjoys working with Enzo. And as Dylan mentioned, he played a reasonably pivotal role in them winning the Conference League and the Club World Cup when Maresca was manager at Chelsea. So it seems to be a decent move. But I also would like to think that if there is no leadership vacuum at Manchester City, some of the senior players will definitely put him in his place. So I'm not too sure that would have happened at Chelsea, really, because if anything, it could very well have been that he was regarded as more or less one of the lads. And Xabi Alonso has now made it clear that he wants to try to get rid of some of the troublemakers and disruptive characters in the team and build a stronger team that could challenge, to get back amongst the elite. And already there's talk about how Chelsea could very well end up, challenging for the league. I'm going to say now, unless they sort out their defence and midfield, that's not going to happen. But, it's going to be fun. They'll score a lot of goals. As far as Enzo's concerned, I wish him good luck. Once again, it's a case of clubs like City and others being able to afford to pay these outrageous fees. Good luck to them. Good luck to them.
We have got some breaking news. Matt, it's over to you. Do you want to tell us all about it? Maybe not. No worries. Let's move on. And always preferred Valentin Barco as well. This is what Reese says. Actually, there is some more breaking news that's actually come through on BBC. I've got that pop up actually at this moment in time. And Fulham have signed another Real Madrid midfielder. Is the third signing from Alvaro Arbeloa's former club, Real Madrid.
Yes.
Arbeloa, yeah, I always mess that one up. Manuel Anguel, the 22-year-old, has joined for a fee thought to be around 3 million, but with a sell-on clause of 50%. He's probably one for the future from Fulham's perspective, but Fulham maybe looking to do what AFC Bournemouth, Brighton, Brentford, etc. do so well. But
I don't think they will. I don't think they will, Craig. But whatever, we'll see.
Fair enough. We'll come to Fulham's activity in a bit as well, and we'll cover them and the rest of the Premier League as well. But I tell you what, let's have a look at the other breaking news tonight. And Chelsea are working hard to line up a replacement for Enzo Fernandez before the deadline. The Blues are close to agreeing a deal to sign Manu Kone from Roma, whose boss GM Piero Gasperini does not want to sell. Monaco have rejected a 38.5 million bid from Chelsea for Kamara as well. And do you know what? I didn't know a great deal about this guy, but he is a talented individual. I believe he's fairly young as well. But Manny, what do you know about Manu Kone, and what do you think he could potentially bring to Chelsea?
Yeah, this guy's name obviously has been bandied about for quite some time right now. And Guardio Emmanuel Boris Kone is his full name. He plays for Roma with a lot of esteemed teammates, of course. It's a second season at Roma because he was on loan at Roma from Borussia Mönchengladbach. And, of course, now he is, as you mentioned, Craig, working with Gasperini. Last season, of course, they were in the Europa League, and they had also signed Daniel Marlin from Aston Villa to sign for Roma in January. And Marlin has since then been teaming up with Paulo Dybala, literally balling out. And so Kone seems to be a pretty important component of that Roma team. And by all accounts, they probably were expected to be the side that would give Villa a challenge in terms of winning the Europa League trophy, but they lost to Bologna. But they did, in fact, qualify for the Champions League by virtue of their league position. So if we just take a look at where they are now and how...
Just before you do that, hold fire for a second, Manny. Hold that thought. Matt's got some breaking news.
Yes, so Robert Sanchez, the Chelsea goalkeeper, has signed for Como, and he is signed a season-long loan deal. And the player is said to be looking very forward to the challenge and to be competing once again for a first-team place. So that's Robert Sanchez from Chelsea to Como.
There we are.
Lovely stuff there, lovely stuff. Some business between the former Spain teammate Xabi Alonso and Cesc Fabregas, so that's really lovely. And of course, with Emi Martinez joining Chelsea, Sanchez's days were more or less numbered. But Sanchez has the consolation of playing in the Champions League.
Yes.
Good luck to him. Now,
as you were saying, yes.
Yeah, back to Kone. Obviously, as I said, he was he is now, of course, seen to be a really important component in this Roma team that will be competing in the Champions League. And as I speak, they are in fact top of the league, top of Serie A with 2 wins from their first 2 games. They've scored 8 and conceded none. And they are looking to really launch a strong challenge for the Serie A title. I think Inter Milan will probably be the team and they'll be fighting. AC Milan might drop off. And of course, as we were speaking about, Craig, you will be playing the Rossoneri in Europe. They'll be coming over to Deep Court. I hope the place is going to be rocking, mate. That's going to be something you do not want to miss. And I know that Mr. Harrison will agree. So, yeah, they've started really well, and they will be in the Champions League. 2 4-0 wins, of course, for Roma so far. And if we, of course, take a look at the... I think Kone has actually played both of those games as well. A bit of a key part of it. And, of course... they've had a lot of people contributing, Dybala and Marlon, of course, but Kone seems to be an important component. And if people want to sign him, Roma will have to work, even harder to make sure that they get a replacement. So that's why they're looking to sign Kone, and also they had placed a bid for Lamine Camara from Monaco. So again, trying to replace Enzo will be very difficult, and if they can, do that by spending up to a third of the money they'll be getting for Fernandez, that would be a really good piece of business. But at this particular stage, it's thin on the ground, and that's another reason why if you have a plan to get rid of one of your biggest assets, you've got to work overtime to have your replacement ready, which is what Aston Villa did with Emi Martinez by signing Zion Suzuki. Chelsea haven't done that, and they could end up suffering for it.
And just before I will get your thoughts as well on this, Dylan, Femi Aziz has now completed his medical ahead of his proposed move to Brighton from Millwall. The total package agreed is understood to be worth up to £15 million. And there we are. Femi Aziz, who was a kingpin really in that Millwall team, is on his way to Brighton and the Premier League. Reese, I know that I said I didn't know that much about Manu Kone. Of course, he is a French international, but he hasn't really had a career which you could say, until moving to Roma, has really taken off. Are you surprised that Chelsea are going down this route? And do you think that this might be something that is a Xabi Alonso directed transfer? He sees something in this player.
Potentially, yeah. I think Xabi Alonso's got really good talent ID. He knows a brilliant player when he sees one. But I hate to poo-poo the slide, but I doubt that either of these deals are going to get done. They were really heavily linked with Kone, who I think is a fantastic player. He's been linked with Liverpool for many years now during his Borussia Mönchengladbach days, before he decided to end up at Roma, and he's been doing really well there. And Liverpool are still being linked with him after they needed a midfielder. So Kone is not only attracting interest from Chelsea, but a host of top clubs from the Premier League, and I think he's a fantastic player, a great all-rounder. But for Roma, Gasperini put his foot down and said, this is a player who's untouchable. I need him in my plans as we make a push for the league title this year. So they were never really up for sanctioning a sale and never really ended up bidding for him. That's when they shifted focus to Lamine Camara from Monaco, a really great athletic ball winner who's done really well in Ligue 1. And it's a league where players can come from and really adapt seamlessly to the Premier League, I feel. So for a Chelsea point of view, I think Kamara would have made great sense, but they've had 2 bids rejected now. The first of which, as it says on there, £38.5 million. Then a second bid around 42.8, which is the equivalent of 50 million euros. But Monaco are still putting their foot down and saying, we don't want to let this guy go. So unfortunately for Chelsea, I can't see them getting an Enzo Fernandez replacement in straight away, which does leave their midfield options looking slightly thin. We know that they've got Reece James, who can fill in there if he's fit. Romeo Lavia scored his first Chelsea goal on the weekend, but can he stay fit for the season? We know the quality Moises Caicedo will offer, one of the best midfielders in the Premier League, if not Europe. And he is still looking quite injury prone. And even today, after selling Fernandez, it does look like they're going to loan out another midfielder in their Portuguese youngster. Dario Wasugo is going to be another one of many young players who's going to go find some minutes at Strasbourg in Ligue 1, their sister club. So for Chelsea, despite the fact they have signed Jordan Henderson and Valentin Barco this summer, have thinned out their midfield options today on deadline day. So if they do bring Kamara in the end, I'd be surprised. But he would be an excellent addition, as would have Kone. So could Kone join a bigger team in the future? Potentially, I could definitely see that if Roma do some more squad planning and get a good replacement for him, if they can get a really decent fee for him, which I think they could. But for now, I don't think Chelsea are going to be able to replace Fernandes in the next hour and a half. So probably we'll go back in for someone in January.
Yeah, and that's the thing. This would be a really good signing for Chelsea, proving that you don't have to, go shopping at the high-end stores like Harrods or Waitrose to get what you want. You can do your scouting and get some good talent for a smaller fee. But the timing is just horrible. And I think I would have to agree with Dylan that unless they, pull a rabbit out of the hat, they're going to end up short in midfield. Good for me. They're coming to the Emirates on Sunday. I hope we give them a pasting.
He had to add that in there. I just want to, before we go on to AFC Bournemouth's window, just go through some of your comments as well. Harry said, Reese, how are you feeling about the Sanchez move? Reese said, probably overdue. Did like the bloke, though. Walking in the Sanchez wonderland. Can we get breaking news updates on the Stoke Norwich game, please? I'm a goal away from £40. Hopefully, fingers crossed, it works in your favour, Reese. Honestly, if it was me, I would send him off to Como in a canoe. Not a big fan, Harry. I'm guessing of Sanchez. Nah, he's a good lad, says Reese. Monaco need to sell somebody before deadline day. They've dropped their asking price to 50 million, which is what our initial offer was. Here we go for Kamara Rice on cue. And Lamine Kamara, do.
Yeah, I think Matt is about to butt in as well, because I have just checked on Twitter, and like Manny just said, he spoke it into existence. They have pulled a rabbit out of a hat, and Fabrizio Romano has given the here we go. It says a fee worth 55 million euros, so around 55 million pounds, and it looks like Kamara will be a Chelsea player. So here we were literally minutes ago saying I'd be surprised if Kamara would go, and it does seem like he will be a Chelsea player if he can get the medical pass in the next hour and a half. We're going to have to keep an eye on that one, Craig.
Yes, Matt, I can tell, is frantically searching at this moment in time for the news. But there we are. We was just talking about him, and it looks like it could well be breaking, but Matt's going to pop in if it does break. So, I tell you what, let's cover off AFC Bournemouth's window. Of course, we are an AFC Bournemouth channel, but if you are a supporter of another team, I hope you take an interest in our transfer activity, because let's be honest, it is pretty good for quite a small football club. Reese has said a Reese exclusive. There we go. So what we'll do is we'll go through our window and rate the ins and outs. So AFC Bournemouth's window so far, as it stands at this moment in time, we have bought in three players and a goalkeeper, I should say. The three players is Antonio Silva. He was signed from Benfica for a fee around about the £23 million mark. I think is it 21, then rising to 25.7 million with add-ons. We've also signed Juanlu Sanchez, a right back from Sevilla, for what is a fairly reasonable fee there as well, of 9.4 million, rising to 11.2 million. Alvaro Rodriguez has been signed from Elche for 21 million, rising to 25.7 million. And of course, Michel Di Gregorio has signed from Juventus on a season-long loan. So 4 players in, 3 players and a goalkeeper effectively. And what we are going to do is kind of review what we think of our transfer activity, because you know what, guys, we as a football club, our transfer activity has been first class. It really has been first class for so long now. And in all honesty, we've signed sensibly again. We've not broken the bank. We've not done things ridiculously. We've signed sensibly. Oh, hang on, Matt. I'm going to hold that thought. Matt, do you want to jump in? Oh, no. There we are. It might pop up in a second. No, but so, yeah. He will introduce himself. But I tell you what, I think our activity again has been really sensible, really strategic. Thiago Pinto deserves a hell of a lot of credit, and of course, what another window where we've added quality and players that may then grow with us, and then we can sell them on. But I tell you what, let's start off with Antonio Silva. Reese, what do you make of Antonio, and what he's done or what he's done previously to the Cherries, and what he can certainly bring to us?
Well, first of all, Craig, I will have to correct you. It's Dylan over here and it's Reese in chat.
Oh, sorry, I've done it again, haven't I? Oh, my word.
Oh, I'm glad you've done it. This is his transfer show heritage. It happened on my first show on the channel.
It did, didn't it?
I am I'm glad we've had like a nice full circle moment. So please don't you worry about it. But let's refocus. Let's go back onto the Bournemouth transfers. I was confidently shaking my head when you said you've had a great window, and I do agree with that. I think all of these signings are expert pickups. The biggest signing for me, the biggest one I'm a fan of, is Antonio Silva, a Benfica captain, a really promising young talent, looked at by a lot of top clubs in Europe, and you're able to snoop in, realise he's only got a year on his contract, and get him for a really good fee. Anywhere in that price range, with or without add-ons, is an excellent deal, and I'm confident he's going to do really well under Marco Rosa. Juan Luis Sanchez had an excellent season at Sevilla, and we spoke about him when he signed a few weeks ago, and I think he's going to do really well. I think so far this season, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm not sure if he's picked up any Premier League minutes just yet. Or maybe he has featured off the bench, maybe. But I think it'll take a little while just to get up to the culture and getting to know the team, finding his feet in the Premier League before maybe in the latter stage of the season he comes in. But then also Alvaro Rodriguez looks like a really good, dynamic young forward, and I expect him to eventually find his feet in the Premier League. And then we spoke about Di Gregorio last week, a really experienced goalkeeper who just needed a fresh start by the looks of it, after not being able to really handle the pressure of being Juventus #1 and a few silly mistakes along the way during his Juventus career. So overall, I think Bournemouth have had a really terrific window. Their outgoings have been sensible, incomings have as well. These are just words, these are superlatives that we always recognise around Bournemouth and their transfer deals. Smart, affordable, sensible. Just it's been a classic Bournemouth window, in my opinion, and I think it really sets the squad in good stead for this upcoming Europa League campaign. So overall, I'm very positive about Bournemouth's window.
I tell you what, Rodriguez is a tower. I didn't realise what a tower he was until he come on against Everton. And I think it offers a different dynamic, a different approach to our game. It's something that maybe we were missing a little bit after Kiefer Moore left the club. Somebody who can really get their head up on it. Okay, don't get me wrong, Enisu now could do that, but he didn't do it enough. So I believe that might be another option that is in our arsenal now. But Manny, from these players, do you see it as a good window, and how do you rate our activity?
Pretty good. I mean, obviously, Silva was signed as the replacement for Marco Senesi, who, of course, went to Tottenham Hotspur. And then Sanchez, of course, was signed to sort of shore everything up at right back. And I believe Aarons has Aarons left on loan, by the way?
Oh, we will cover him a little bit in a bit as well.
Yeah, so you sort of plug whatever gaps you might possibly have. And, Rodriguez could be a good centre-forward option, someone who could compete with the likes of Evan Nielsen and Krupi. And, Krupi obviously has been the subject of a lot of activity as well. So this could be something to potentially prepare for that. And you could end up, if Krupi does leave, you will get a good fee for him. That's for sure. So, I think pretty much you've got those bases covered, and it's good to see. And Di Gregorio as well. Di Gregorio, I think Dylan has said, he said it perfectly. He couldn't quite handle the pressure of playing for Juventus, and they also got rid of their other goalkeeper, sent him on loan, sent him permanently to a club in the Italian Serie B, which is lower than Serie A, and they've got two new goalkeepers on loan. One of them, of course, being the Tottenham goalkeeper. So Di Gregorio, of course, will have a big role to play in terms of trying to push Georgi Petrovic, or Georgi Porgi, as I would call him. And we're going to use that pet name for quite a bit next time he does have a good performance. I mean, maybe not you, but certainly me. And hopefully he'll just enjoy his time at Dean Court and do as well as he can. And if he does, that's a good start.
Yeah, most definitely. And we do have some breaking news there as well on the screen. Dane Scarlett is leaving Tottenham Hotspur and will join Leyton Orient on a permanent deal before the deadline. The move will be an initial free transfer with add-ons and sell-on clauses, like so many transfers nowadays. So yes, but I think some great business again. Alvaro Rodriguez, as I say, bring something new. Antonio Silva, looks very, very assured in that centre-back pairing with James Hill. I don't think he's really been at fault, so far. And of course, I would put down the Everton goal at the weekend down to a miscommunication between Marcus Tavernier and especially James Hill as well. And Wanlu Sanchez at right back, he can't get his game because Adam Smith is, still winding back the years, but he's a very, very, very talented player who he's got a lot of such a bright future ahead of him. And of course, he was part of that Spain team that did beat England in the Euro final. So here we go. Kamara deal. Chelsea have agreed a 47 million deal with Monaco for Lamine Kamara. The midfielder is set to sign a 6-year deal pending a medical. So there we go. Matt will no doubt jump in if anything big comes up. I just want to go back to the comments. Where's Mr. B for life? He's probably buzzing around. He'll be in later on, no doubt.
He might be. He's actually on another stream right now, and he did a stream earlier on his channel. He's on another stream, and so he might possibly buzz back in. But to answer this question, I was discussing this, Reese, on Steve's stream, and all I can say is, we're getting what we deserve. It's as if, we seem to think that because we're the champions, we should have a right to expect people to want to come and join us. And then, in a way, I'm reminded of this Aesop fable of a lion who, finds a rabbit and is about to eat it, but then sees a stag thinking that he could have a better meal. But then the stag is too quick for him. And, he gives up that chase and goes back for the rabbit, but then the rabbit's gone. It's like, if you want too much, more often than not, you end up with nothing. And just speaking of the devil or the bee himself, he has buzzed in. And Reese, he couldn't stay away from you, mate. But back to your question. All I can say is I think Steve will agree with me because I said we were talking about this. It's like if you want to just buy someone who, can solve your problem, because we were looking for a left winger to complement or compete with Christos Solis. You just go for someone who may not exactly be a high-end purchase, but someone who has some good credentials and who can do a job. And Chelsea have just done that now by getting Camara to replace Enzo. But it's like it's good business sense. But we have this idea that we either don't want to pay enough for some of the better purchases on the market, and we still want to try to sign, some really good players at the high end. It's like we want to try to shop at Harrods and Marks and Spencer and Waitrose, but we don't want to spend our money and the money that they want us to pay. And we think we can dictate the terms. And in the end, as Reese says, we get food shamed. And, it just goes to show that if you need to have some decent quality food, you don't always have to go to Waitrose or M&S Food. Just go to Sainsbury's or Asda and or even Aldi, and jobs are good. I would avoid Tesco's like the plague.
We're going into supermarkets, and I tell you what, latest news: David Ornstein has said Everton want Josh Zirkzee from Manchester United. Balogun deal falling through after a failed medical. So there we are. So Everton are on the prowl. Just want to quickly go through the comments. Reese has said, here he is, buzzing all over the gaff. And Mr. B has said, big up Craig, Manny and Dylan, plus Reese as well. Cheers, mate. Cheers for coming to join us finally.
Buzz, mate. Buzz.
Buzz. When Brentford's coming to Dean Court, they can buzz off with 0 points. But yeah. Moving on. There has been some outgoings at AFC Bournemouth, and actually probably more than we actually realise. Hamid Traore, the left winger, has gone to Marseille for between 6.5 million and 7.7 million. Luis Inistera has gone to Cruzeiro for 3.7 million. Marcos Senesi, unfortunately has gone to Spurs on a free transfer. Enes Unal has gone to Getafe, also on a free transfer. Roman Favre, attacking midfielder, has gone to Auxerre on a season-long loan. Alex Paulson has gone to Motherwell on a season-long loan. Maka Akinboni has gone to Dundee FC on a season-long loan. And then Archie Harris has gone to Wigan Athletic on an undisclosed free transfer. Not a free transfer, undisclosed fee. So, Dylan, I'm going to come to you first with regards to the outgoings, and then I'll come to you, Manny, and then I'll give my thoughts on this as well. What do you make of the outgoings? Are these players going to be a loss, or is there certain players that are going to be a loss to Marco Rose this time round?
Yeah, I think the way I'd group the first half of this list would be players who have, apart from Senesi, have just had their time at Bournemouth. For
Yeah.
whatever reason, none of these players, apart from Senesi, were ever able to find their feet and really show the best version of themselves in a Bournemouth top. I think Sinistera has some good moments at Leeds and showed some flashes at Bournemouth, but I think you can say the same for Traore, for Favre. I'm not really sure how you say it, but Favre, there we go. And the same for Unal. We discussed Unal leaving on a free, and we were unsure whether that was the best bit of business, when really he was a player under contract. Could that Bournemouth have got a little bit of money for him? Wouldn't have been much, but anything would have done, I guess. But yeah, apart from Senesi, these were just players that have had their time. But then you look at the bottom three, and I think these are all players with potentially bright futures ahead of him, especially Alex Paulson. I think he's an absolute tower of a goalkeeper.
Yes.
I believe from New Zealand or Australia, not sure which one. Believe it's New Zealand.
New Zealand, yeah. New Zealand.
Could definitely be a future international for them there. And I think could definitely be a future Premier League goalkeeper if the dominoes begin to fall for his career, and hopefully that will kickstart at Motherwell. So overall, yeah, it's been a really interesting window in terms of outgoing for Bournemouth. I think we can absolutely praise all the incomings that have been coming in, but then also some decent outgoings there as well for some good fees for players who were always going to be fringe. So if I was Marco Rosa, apart from Senesi, I wouldn't be losing much sleep over not having any of these players at his disposal this season. But obviously, as a Bournemouth fan, maybe you feel some affinity towards some of these players. So those are my thoughts on them. But obviously, I'm excited to see what you've got to say on them, Craig.
Yeah, Alex Paulson, very, very quickly. He is a Kiwi, so from Auckland. And there was a little bit of rage in New Zealand after he actually signed for AFC Bournemouth, because we bought him from Wellington Phoenix and then loaned him straight out to Auckland FC, which of course is Bill Foley's new A-League team. So there we go. Manny, what do you make of these players? Do you agree with Dylan, or have you got other thoughts on some of these players? Oh, we can't hear you, Manny.
Yeesh, it always happens, mate. Yeah, listen, there are one or two players in this list, Craig, that you and I were speaking about who we thought could potentially do a job. Someone like Enes Unal, for instance. I remember you signed him, and he did make a few substitute appearances under Iriola.
Yeah.
I don't know how many goals he necessarily scored and how well he necessarily did, but I don't think there can be any denying that he did make a pretty important contribution to Bournemouth finishing as high as you did, and of course, securing European football. You were sixth, if memory serves me right. It was Villa who finished in fourth, and Liverpool were in fifth. And he's now with Getafe, having left on a free. When he was at Bournemouth, I think he had two seasons. I think he was on loan with you for the second half of 2023-24, and then 2 full seasons. I think he played 39 appearances. Only really scored 3 goals in the league and 5 goals in total. So it could very well be that maybe his return wasn't really justifying the faith in him. The goals probably dried up a bit, and maybe it was best that he would, leave for pastures new. And he is also, of course, a former Turkish international. I think his last cap was in 2024. So this could very well be a case, as Dylan was saying, of someone who I think has just not been able to really make the most of his opportunities. Romain Fabre could potentially have been an option, but maybe he just wasn't able to compete really hard enough with the likes of Tavernier and Kluivert and others. So you maintain that strong core. Fabre could have perhaps been a good option, but maybe, again, if you analyse his performances, it could very well have been a case of him not really able to make the grade. So I suppose I could agree with Dylan, really, that it's a case of a really good window when you take some players out that just aren't cutting it. And in fact, he's ever since he joined Bournemouth, Fabre has been loaned out from pillar to post back to France. He had a stint in Saudi Arabia on loan with Al Tawoun, and then another loan stint in France. So, those were two names that sort of stuck out. But again, you've got to know when to let some players go who just can't really make the grade. So, Sinisterra was another one we remembered very well. It could have been that his time had also passed. So, on the whole, I think I'd have to agree with Dylan. It was certainly a very good win.
Well, I just want to mention a latest update. Manchester United explored a move for Manchester City fullback Rayan Ait-Nouri as they look to reinforce their left-back position on deadline day. Of course, Rayan Ait-Nouri used to play for Wolves, and was a little bit of a regular in their side. So Manchester United explored a move. So I just want to quickly touch upon my thoughts for the outgoings of AFC Bournemouth. Before we do that, Sancho's future, Barca has, which is, I believe, a Spanish paper, isn't it? Report Jadon Sancho is on the verge of joining Palmeiras. A 2-year contract has been put forward. So Jadon Sancho, who's not had it his own way, could be finally getting a fresh opportunity and different move to maybe re-establish himself. There's a lot of talent there. I think he just needs a little bit of love. But let's just go.
The best part about that is that he will be reuniting in a way with Jesse Lingard, who's at Corinthians.
Yes.
Let's see what sort of mischief those two people get up to.
Very true. Very true. My thoughts on the AFC Bournemouth outgoings here, though, in all honesty, of course, there is 3 pots, really. The players that I really wish wasn't leaving, but maybe it was time. Of course, the players that I think have run their course, and the players that, I don't think really that we should send out on loan and maybe look to recoup some of the money that we've paid for them. And then, of course, there is some hot prospects there. So Alex Paulson is going to be a great goalkeeper in the future. He's not there right now. He probably just needs to keep playing, keep putting himself forwards, and I'm sure he will get that opportunity when it does present itself. Akinboni, again, very, very talented individual centre back, but again, somebody that just needs a little bit of TLC to get him where he wants to be. Romain Fabre, for me, he signed from Lorient, attacking midfielder. I personally don't think he's really ever done anything that well, be it on loan or, in a Cherries shirt, which has been very, very few and far between. I think there's probably about 2 games he's played. So, Romain Fabre, a season-long loan, I'd actually sell him. Just want to quickly butt in here. Latest news, Sunderland's pursuit of Dodi Lukembakio looks to be over, with a decision made for him to stay with Benfica. So there we are. There's some latest news. NSU now, disappointed he's going, but at the end of the day, I think it's the right choice. I think he needs to come off the wage bill. Marcos Senesi, devastated he's going. Such a talented centre-back, and he will really be a asset to Tottenham Hotspur this term. Hamid Traore, I think it's about time. And Luis Sinisterra, he will forever be loved for what he did against Everton at Goodison Park, turning that from a 2-0 deficit to a 3-2 win. I think honestly, it's time for him to move on. I think he's been very, very unlucky with injuries. I think maybe his race is run here and in the Premier League. Palace double swoop is happening as well. Just to jump in, Crystal Palace are closing in on the double signing of Quentin Timber and Ben Chilwell. So there we are. Some more news. So I did say I was going to have to keep jumping about. Hey, it's probably going to happen all night. Just going to quickly run through some of the comments. Buzz says, Harry. Cool, everyone's buzzing now, says Reese. Mr. B for life, of course. Steve has turned around and said, because I said hopefully Brentford will buzz off with 0 points. He said, you're getting stung again there, Craig. Yeah, they always seem to do it to us, don't they? Barcola is a great signing for Liverpool, but 125 million is way too much. It's 123 million. He's corrected himself. Just a couple of problems with the tech that Mr. B flagged out with us. He said, we didn't lose our core players, so happy. So we have a massive squad also to cope. If we do get it this season, I'm guessing Europe. And you didn't lose Alex Scott, more importantly. Come on, don't rig that. Hopefully, fingers crossed, Alex Scott will be staying at AFC Bournemouth. I think he will be, but of course, until the window's closed, anything could happen. Risa said, my boy, Ben Chilwell. And Mr. B for life. I wondered what happened to Chilwell, a talented player, but again, somebody who I think has hit a little bit of a rocky patch. Hopefully, he'll make it back to the very, very top. Now, there could be some late Cherries movement. A lot of people are thinking that AFC Bournemouth's activity is done for the evening and for this transfer window. But Leeds United and West Ham are both looking at potential late moves for Cherries fullback. Of course, Max Aarons. Dylan, take it away, mate. Do tell us a bit more about this.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've spoken a lot in the last few weeks on this transfer show about the future of Max Aarons. We've all praised him as a player and his attitudes. I think this is a player that when he first came to the Premier League with Norwich, really impressed. He got linked to a lot of top clubs like Liverpool, Arsenal, I think Manchester United. I remember some of those links, but eventually did sign for AFC Bournemouth. And I think at times he's shown the player that he had the potential to be. And I think he's been good in place for Bournemouth, but could never really stay fit. So there was lots of speculation that we've been speaking about that maybe he could be leaving Dean Court before the window's over. And if it does happen, I think it's going to be very late. As you say, we've got just over an hour until the window slams shut. But as it says on there, Leeds and West Ham both looking at the potential move for him. I think Leeds' interest, as I understand it, has cooled a little bit now. I don't think they're going to end up going for him. But West Ham, they've just, or they're still playing at the minute, I believe, against Wolves. So potentially after that game is done, they can get the cogs turning to get this deal over the line in the background at the club. But I think he'd be a great signing for West Ham in the Championship. They'd probably look to get him on a loan basis, it seems to be, if he was to depart. And I think that'd be sensible for all parties. As really what Aarons needs, he just needs regular first-team football to stay fit, show the quality that he's got, and just get some regular minutes under his belt. So if any movement was to happen, BBC reported at the start of the day that there was lots of calm around the club, that it was always expected that after Di Gregorio signed, that would be the very last incoming for Bournemouth. Then it would only be departures and minor ones of that, as I would count Aaron's in that as well. So for now, it seems like he will be a Cherries player, but there's still a lot could happen in this last hour. Who knows? Maybe we're cursed. It was only half an hour ago we were saying that I doubt Kamara would end up being a Chelsea player. Then an agreement was struck literally moments later, and he's having his Chelsea medical as we speak. So who knows? But if I had to bet, I think he'd probably be a Cherries player next season.
Matt, with some breaking news. Are you going to tell us Max Aarons has just moved?
I'm not. I'm just going to say, all I'm just going to say is that it's just been made clear that the green light has been given by the player, Milik Fanana, for Sunderland to complete the paperwork. So that deal should happen and should be completed in time for the closure of the window, or at least the paperwork that needs to be completed for the finer details to be completed after the transfer window shuts. But yeah, see you in a bit.
There we are. Short and sweet. And that is the Cherries news at the moment. So, no Iliman Njai. He's gone to Manchester City. Will Alex Scott stay at AFC Bournemouth? Bloody hope so. Max Aarons, is he on his way? He's got an hour to do it, or has he? Because I just want to bring one thing up, and I'm just going to explain this very, very, very briefly. I'll just go full screen whilst I'm explaining this. But the deadline for squad registration. Now, the deadline closes, of course, at 11 o'clock. Deals, though, can be completed shortly after the deadline. In order to do that, clubs must submit a deal sheet to the Premier League prior to 9 p.m, allowing them an extra 2 hours after the deadline with the Premier League's blessing to complete a late move. Once the window is closed, clubs then have to submit a squad list to the Premier League of players who will represent them. While there is no official deadline that is made public, it is understood the deadline is about a week after the window closes. So clubs cannot name squads of more than 25 players aged 21 and over. On top of that, the maximum amount of senior players allowed that are not classed as locally trained is 17. So yes, you can actually complete a deal after the transfer window has closed shut, but you need to get the deal sheet in before 9 p.m. to allow yourself that extra time. But you can still sign somebody if that form isn't in by 9 p.m, but you've got a shorter window to do it. So if somebody's interested in Max Aarons now and they haven't completed that deal sheet, they better get a move on, because they've only got an hour to do it as opposed to a little bit longer. But there we are. There's a bit of interesting information, actually. I don't think I wrote that, because I didn't. But I thought it was quite interesting just to bring that up in the interim. Steve has said, I see the Balogun deal has fallen through, going to Everton. Yes, we have mentioned that. And Matt, in and out, that guy is lightning, isn't he? There we are. He's got his fingers to the pulse. He knows what he's doing. It's good that somebody on this channel knows what they're doing. It's not me, I can assure you of that. So, yes, well done, Matt.
Yeah.
Keeping your finger on the pulse.
We know that he's in and out, but he's not doing the hokey cokey.
Oh, I love it, Manny. I love it. I tell you what, shall we go through the transfer activity for each of the sides in the Premier League? Shall we do that?
Sounds like a good idea.
Let's get it on the screen then. And what better place to start than your beloved Arsenal, Manny? And Nwaneri has completed his Dortmund loan. Now, Nwaneri, again, is a player that AFC Bournemouth were linked to. In fact, I spoke to Cecil G. Thomas about this quite some time ago, and he was really singing his praises and could see where Nwaneri could come into Bournemouth and make a bit of a difference to our firepower up front. But, Manny, I better hand this one over to you. Are you surprised by this? Has Nwaneri got a future at Arsenal? And what could he get and gain from this loan?
I don't think he has a future with us, sadly, Craig. And the reason why is because it's now crystal clear that Arteta just doesn't seem to rate him. And he doesn't seem to know how to use our youngsters and get the best out of them. It angers fans like me so much because he was, of course, our youngest ever Premier League player, having been given his debut at the age of 15 and 15 and a half, you could say. It was about 180 odd days. And whenever he was given some appearances, I believe, the season before we won the league, he was allowed to play quite a bit and really showed some quality. But then, last season, we all know he was on loan at Marseille. And it's as if when you have such talent in the youth, you've got to make sure you find a way to blood them in. Now, Arsene Wenger was very infamous for saying that, young players have to earn their right to play for the club and not expect to be, fast-tracked in on the basis of either their passport or, where they are playing as youth players. And the sad part is, though, that apart from maybe Ashley Cole, I don't think there's any real, and of course Bukayo Saka among others. I don't think there have been many youth players who have come in and really shone and made it their own. But unless you give them chances, you just don't know what they're going to do for you. And as I mentioned, when Eri did play quite a few, he did play a really good number of games for Arsenal, scoring some important goals for us. But then for the championship season, that was the previous season, he was out on loan at Marseille, and now he's gone on loan to Borussia Dortmund. And one interesting thing is that in Europe, there is, in fact, a rule which says that players who go out on loan are allowed to play against their parent clubs. Parent clubs have no right to influence the selection of other teams. Unlike in the Premiership, where if you join another Premiership club on loan, you cannot play against your parent club, but Ethan can. And I mentioned this is the season here, 24-25. He played 26 times, scored 4 goals in the Premier League, but then 3 goals in the League Cup in 4 appearances, and then 2 goals in 7 appearances in the Champions League. Yes, he wasn't exactly very prolific, but when you consider that in the previous 2 seasons, he only made 1 Premiership appearance each and was given more opportunities, you could see that there was some potential there that needed to be developed. And then, thankfully, last season, because they've shortened the minimum requirements from 10 games to 5 games to earn a medal, he did make 6 appearances in the league and therefore thoroughly deserved a Premier League medal. And he is listed, of course, as a Premier League winner. But if Mikel Arteta is going to continue to stunt his development, I just don't see him having a future. I think he might be better off either exploring opportunities elsewhere in Europe or for another Premier League club. And he's doing the same thing right now with another youngster in Max Dowman, who made a huge splash last season when he came on to substitute against Everton at the Emirates and helped turn the game around. I think he provided an assist for Victor Gyökeres' goal, which put us 1-0 up. And then he scored a go-ahead goal with effectively the last kick of the game after Jordan Pickford decided to go walkabout, come up for a corner. He was caught out, and then Dowman just wrapped it all up. And even Dowman made enough appearances to earn a medal. That was the only goal he scored, by the way. But then why do you want to keep just stunting the development of your young players, knowing damn well how good they could possibly be? And I'm not going to have people say, it's the way Arteta is. He has high standards of what he wants from his attacking players. Don't give me any of that rubbish. We all know, given his preference for the likes of Kai Havertz and Martin Odegaard, that he doesn't give a rat's rear end about how good his attack is. And he gives even less than that about our youth players from the looks of it. So if I were Ethan, I would say, you know what, son, enjoy your time in Germany. If you play against us in the Champions League and score against us, I am not going to boo you. In fact, I will cheer for you. And I hope you find a way out of this club, away from this manager, and blossom elsewhere. You aren't going to get anything as long as Arteta's, at the club. And we'll see how well he does at Dortmund. I think there's a wonderful link between Borussia Dortmund and English players. They always seem to do quite well there. And maybe it'll be a case of adding another number to the score, as Neil Tennant would say.
Wow, there we are. Namwari, a player as well that Mr. B for Life has said quality, should have got him on loan. I would have been quite happy with him here at AFC Bournemouth as well. But Matt, you've appeared back in the room.
Yes.
What do you want?
Yes, I have. Yes, well, we're into the last hour now, so I think it's going to get a little bit busy So you might see a bit more of me over the next 57 minutes. But over the next 57 minutes, Craig, Manny and Dylan will review the next 18 sides. Obviously, we've done Bournemouth and now they're just going to finish off with Arsenal. That's their challenge for the 57 minutes, whereas my challenge is to keep you as updated as possible. So that's 57 minutes left. Well, 56 now of the transfer window. So could we be seeing deals for Sancho, Grealish, or even that man behind me there, Max Aarons? Who knows? But I will keep you updated. And lads, I shall leave you to carry on with the Premier League rundown.
Well, Risa said we all want more money, so you got a big fan here. And actually, somebody's mentioned on Max Aarons. Hi, fellas. So is Max Aarons not going out on loan then? Potentially. Whoever wants to sign Max Aarons has to move quick. Is there conversations happening at Dean Court or at another ground with Max's agents? Who knows? We shall find out. Surely if Aaron stays with us, Sola needs to go out on loan. I think we could do it with another defender, as can't rely on Bafode Diakite. I think Bafode Diakite just lacks a bit of confidence sometimes, and I think hopefully Marco Rosa can get the best out of him, put an arm around him, and bring him back to the levels that we saw when he first signed from here, signed for the football club. I think he was excellent. I think he was really, really good. And then just during that dip, his head went, and I think it was a real shame. And Mr. Beer said, Matt the Scarlet Pimpernel has gone again. Yeah, he'll keep appearing over this next hour. But I tell you what, let's cover off the rest of Arsenal's transfers. But just before we do that, Mudryk has joined Spurs on loan. Michaela Mudryk has joined Tottenham on a season-long loan from Chelsea. There we go. So let's run through the players that have joined Arsenal. So Bruno Guimaraes, I'm just always going to struggle saying this. Manny, can you help?
It's Bruno Guimaraes.
There we are. He says it so perfectly. Me, I'm struggling. Of course, signed from Newcastle United for 75 million. Ezri Konsa was pivotal for England at the World Cup. He signed from Aston Villa for 55 million. Piero Henchapi signed from Bayer Leverkusen for 34.5 million. Christos Tsitsilis has signed from Club Bruges for 34 million. And Ilian Meslier has signed from Leeds United on a free transfer. Of course, he is the goalkeeper. Out has gone Martinelli. He's gone to Barcelona for 60 million. Kielwa has gone to Porto for 19 million. Trossard has gone to Besiktas for 17 million. Jesus has gone to Barcelona for 8.6 million. Norgard has gone to Everton for 7 million. Hain has gone to Werder Bremen for 2.6 million. Cabia has gone to Mirren on a loan deal. And Reece Nelson has gone on a free. There is some breaking news. He's going to pop up. There he is.
Yes, well, Hugo Larsson has signed for Fulham from Frankfurt on a long-term deal, which is subject to initial loan deal. So that's Hugo Larsson, who has signed for Fulham from Frankfurt.
Oh, there we are. Technical issue. So, of course, Arsenal's transfer activity there. Manny, I know you're going to want your say on it, so I'm going to come to you in just a moment. But Dylan, impressed with Arsenal's activity? There's been a lot of good players leaving the club and a lot of very, very talented players coming in. Are Arsenal balanced? Are they going to be right up there again? Do you feel that they've strengthened, or do you think that the loss of Jesus, Martinelli might have weakened them a little bit?
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting window for Arsenal. I was quite positive on the amount of incoming. I think in Guimaraes, they've got one of the best midfielders in the Premier League. He's a win-now player. And as to their excellent midfield depth, I think Konza is an excellent signing as well. Even when Saliba's back, he's going to be able to offer great cover at centre-half and at right-back. Hikapié on a signing permanently was always a formality. And I think Zolis is a really interesting addition to the left-hand side. My concern for Arsenal comes on that left-hand side, though, where they've lost the depth. Yes, early in the window, I think Trossard out and Zolis in made a lot of sense. However, selling Gabriel Martinelli and not being able to get that left winger in to provide Zolis with some decent competition is a concern for Arsenal in my book. We've also seen Reece Nelson, as it says at the bottom of the list there, also leaving the club, as well as Waneri out on loan, who potentially could have covered that left-hand side as well. So for Arsenal, I do worry about that elite left-hand side forward to compete with Zolis. But overall, I'd expect Arsenal to do really well this year. If I had to give a prediction now, I think this is the season, after the window they've had, where they finally get the Champions League over the line. As much as a Liverpool fan, it pains me to say it. So maybe Manny disagrees on some parts of it. I do really enjoy a lot of their signings. But as far as outgoings go, I think it leaves them a little bit short on the left-hand side. But overall, I'm positive on Arsenal's transfer window.
Manny, have you got enough? There was a lot of talk about Vinicius Junior joining Arsenal during this window. Do you think that was rubbish, or do you think that there was, something behind it? And do you feel comfortable with the players that you have brought in? Have you strengthened?
In 2 words, to sort of quote, to paraphrase a friend of yours, that Vinicius thing, bovine manure. Smoke and mirrors. The arrogance of us to sort of think that we could even, dictate terms on trying to sign Morgan Rogers by, trying to bring the fee down, and then we say if you're not going to allow us to pay our fee for him, then we're not going to buy him, and then we'll look elsewhere. Did anyone honestly think that we would break the bank to sign Vinicius and smash our wage structure to get him in? Many of us knew that was never going to happen. And now we're in a situation where, once again, we've got food chained, as Reece has said, by Sunderland. And, now we don't even know if we're going to have a left winger. It isn't even the question of, the transfers leaving us, light, because with the likes of Martinelli and Trossard, you see that Martinelli is probably the only one on which we've made a really good profit. And, of course, Martinelli being a youth player, selling him for any good amount will be pure profit in the books, and that was a really good one. But with Kivior, with Trossard, and definitely Jesus and Norgard and a few others, we've just made losses. It's ridiculous. And even if you want to take a look at the incomings, I'm quite happy with Guimaraes. I'm quite happy with Konsa. I think he will be good cover for William Saliba, but he will also, as I think I might have said, hasten the departure of Ben White, because like Benny Blanco, as many of us call him, Konsa is a centre-half by trade, but can also do a good job at right-back, which apparently is what Arteta wants in his defenders. He wants jacks of all trades, but sadly masters of none. And that's why, I can't really get on board with that. Hinchapi was on loan with us from Bayer Leverkusen last season, and, it was only natural that he would, sign for us. Solis, of course, has come in and done okay so far, but it's only 2 games. Did well against Coventry, but, Matthew Cash pretty much had him in his pocket last night. And it was only whenever Eze came on that he and Ricardo Calafiori combined to cause problems down that side. Ilan Meslier, a free transfer, but then now there's talk about us possibly, sending him to play for Marseille, either on loan or permanently. And, it's another example of how we just get our priorities completely mucked up. We don't even seem to know how to handle ourselves. So we needed a few more incomings, and we've left ourselves light. And unless we get a good left winger, we are going to have to put a square peg in a round hole by playing Ebrieze in that position. I don't like it. He's a number 10. He can't play on the left. He's a duck out of water. And this is another example of why many Arsenal fans think that we won't retain the league. And last season, we only won it because, City were just absolutely ants, to say the least. So you see what we're dealing with here.
Mm-hmm. Well, there is a roar from Hull. Hull have signed Everton's I agree.
No, I've got this. It's Tim Irigbunam, who actually joined Everton from Aston Villa not too long ago, and now he's moving to Hull. So the 23-year-old signed a 5-year deal, and he will be teaming up with another ex-Aston Villa player, Matt Targett. So that should be fun. Aston Villa are going to be going there to play them.
Yes, definitely. So there we are. That's Arsenal. What we're going to do is we're going to speed through it. We're not going to go through every single player moving forwards, and we're just going to cover one team each. Whilst I'm doing and setting up the next slice, just going to go through just a few comments. Bloody Canaries, says Reese. I'm guessing that's to do with the £40 bet. Sorry, mate. I was hoping that you'd win whatever it was. I don't know what the bet was, but I'm guessing it's not gone particularly well. Spurs have Tosin as well. Going to be a late one this year. It probably is. I'm just sat here for Craig's pronunciations at this point. Yeah, I'm a bit tired as well. It's been a long old day. I was up at about 5 o'clock this morning. The pronunciations are just getting worse because of that as well. Won't keep Fulham up. I hope not anyway. Of course, Brentford and Fulham. Can't they just start Morgan Rogers on the left? Arsenal will be still dull to watch, says Steve. Hull doing really good business. Might keep them up. Aren't ducks sound out of water? And Arsenal didn't get our smooth operator Sade in the end. So I'll tell you what, let's go to Aston Villa. And Reese, do you want to take Aston Villa?
What did you call me, Craig?
Oh, for fuck's sake. It's because I've just read out a comment from Reese. Dylan, that's the third time I've done that. I need
It's a hat trick. It's a day.
It is a hat trick. Oh, sorry, mate. It's. Do you know what? It's because I'm bloody reading the comments from Reese. That's the thing. But Dylan, tell us about Aston Villa. And the potential or the signings of Paris Saint-Germain's forwards Ibrahim Mbaye and Southampton defender Taylor Hardwood-Bellis.
Yeah, absolutely. And listen, Craig, you can call me Reese as many times as you like. I'm not going to hold it against you, so don't you worry about it. Let's get back on to Aston Villa then. Like it says on there, today they've sealed 2 signings. Taylor Hardwood-Bellis, experienced English defender from Southampton for an initial £25 million, and Ibrahim Mbaye joining for £47 million from Paris Saint-Germain. I think these are 2 really excellent additions. That takes Villa's summer spending over the £250 million mark. We know Mbaye is a Champions League winner twice now with Paris Saint-Germain. We know Hardwood-Bellis has featured for England on the international level and has impressed at Southampton and is now returning to the Premier League. So I believe if you go on to the next slide, Craig, we've got Villa's overall window there, ins and outs.
Yes.
Overall, then, if you consider Mbaye and Hardwood-Bellis there, along with the abundance of incomings they've got, once again, I'm quite positive on Villa's window. Look, like Newcastle, they've lost a lot of key players. Look at some of the big names out there. Rogers, Konza, Watkins, Tielemans, Digne, some absolutely huge sales there. But then I think they've replaced them really, really well. Looking at some of the names on there, I think Suzuki is a great replacement for Martinez. I think Wan-Bissaka adds some brilliant defensive depth alongside Ruggeri. I think João Gomez is a decent Tielemans replacement. I think Jackson will replace Watkins very well. I really like Nicholas Jackson, and I think he gets a second chance in the Premier League. I expect him to take it as well. And Yohan Manzambi should be a good replacement for Rogers, though it will obviously be difficult to replace players of such quality in their seniority at the club, especially the likes of Konza and Tielemans, who would have been leaders in that dressing room. Overall, I trust Unai Emery. I think he's one of the best managers in Europe, and it doesn't matter who comes and goes out of his teams. I think you've got to trust him to get the best out of them. So for Aston Villa, do I think it's going to be perfect at time of the season? No, probably not. I think looking at the team they played on Monday as well, and this rough start they've had to the Premier League season, that's maybe to be expected. But I think once Unai Emery gets to know the squad he's got in front of him and they start to learn how to play under him, I think Villa will look a lot more steadier. So overall, I think Villa have had a decent window despite how many key players they've lost.
And they've done some responsible business, some proactive business, and they've put Arsenal to shame. And so for all of those Arsenal fans who still mock Unai Emery, I know we beat them last night, but they could once again end up, pulling our trousers down and humiliating us. Do not be complacent and be respectful. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, I tell you what, let's move on. Just a couple of comments as well. Suzuki, great engine. Harwood Bellis, Roy Keane's son-in-law, nobody messed with him. Yes, very true. A great replacement for Emmy Martinez. And time for Dylan to comment in the live chat, because that way I won't make any more screw-ups. Oh, breaking news. He's going to be in the room. There he is.
Yes, I am. And Jack Grealish has signed a season loan deal with Everton. So that's Jack Grealish back to Everton on a season-long loan.
Oh, not Everton. Sorry. Let's move on.
You and me both, Craig. You and me both.
Yeah, the world's most boring football club. Sorry, I've got so many friends that support Everton, but they are boring. Right, let's move on to somebody who isn't boring. I'm going to hand this one over to Manny. I'm sure Steve is going to absolutely go buzzing. But Manny, what do you make of Brentford?
Yeah, well, I actually do a lot of work with Mr. B of late, and he is, of course, as you say, buzzing about it. And I think he actually came in, in the chat pretty much, happy about his transfer window. He said it right here. We didn't lose our core players, so exceptionally happy. They do have a massive squad, he says, and they should also cope if they do get Europe this season. And of course, they missed out on European football last season by not a very big margin, of course. I believe they had a return to Liverpool for Jordan Henderson and Queven Kelleher that day, and it was also Mohamed Salah's farewell. It finished in a 1-1 draw. So sadly, Craig, that meant that Liverpool couldn't finish above Aston Villa, and therefore you couldn't get into the Champions League. But Brentford have sort of been trying to build over this year or so. And you take a look at the players they've let go. Several of these players are actually really good players. Mikael Damsgaard, many England fans have reason to remember him for that fine free kick he scored against us in the Euro 2020 semi-final. But since then, I just don't think he's been able to, recreate the magic at Brentford. He has made some appearances, not quite scored too many goals. And I'm sure, Steve will continue to comment on that. Ethan Pinnock is, of course, a long-serving defender who's now gone to join Frank Lampard at Coventry City. Jordan Henderson has had his time truncated. He's gone over to join the old age pensioners group with Danny Welbeck at Chelsea. And, there are one or two others. Matt Jensen, of course, was a big player for quite some time, but he, has also left. And Yarmolia, the midfielder, has also gone, apparently, to Aston Villa. So I never knew that this happened, but Yarmolia could also potentially be a good cover as well for Unai Emery. They have João Gomes suspended. Amadou Onana is out injured. They did sign Goretzka, as was mentioned, but, Goretzka still has to get himself up to some speed, as do the likes of Mbaye and a few of their other signings, Manzambi and a few others. So that's the outgoings. And Steve obviously was, really buzzing about signing Mamadou Sangare from Lens, a club record signing of 41 million quid, saying that he will definitely be a good replacement for Yarmolia and or Henderson. He said it, their best signing. And of course, El Hadj Malik Diouf has been wanted for quite some time. He's been signed from West Ham. Another former Cherry, Jayden Anthony, has gone to them from Burnley, and another one has also joined from West Ham United. Jayden Anthony and Callum Wilson. And Yannick Schuster signed from Salzburg for about 12 million. So it's been a good window, and probably, this could very well prove to be a good season for Brentford, as long as they are able to, just maintain that level of consistency. And as Steve has said, they've kept more or less the core of the squad. They will have some games to play, and they are aiming to try and either finish higher up in the table to get into Europe, or possibly have a good cup run. So you might want to watch out for them. And of course, with several former Cherries in the lineup now, 3, Anthony, Wilson, and Dango Atara, I think they're going to want to ensure that they do get something. But again, I will say this: Bournemouth have a knack of being able to spoil the party for their returning ex-players. So I don't think Bees fans should get too cocky about that.
There we go. Well, Everton might be boring, but they're not being boring in this window, funny enough. BBC report Everton are scrambling for a striker. They have been rejected by Tammy Abraham. So,
But what happened to Richarlison? Wasn't he supposed to go back there?
well, there was rumours,
that was
wasn't there?
part of the deal that would have seen Ndiaye go to Tottenham, but instead Man City swooped in. So it now seems like Richarlison's going to stay at Tottenham, but there was interest from Saudi Arabia. So that one's off the cards, it seems.
Well, Everton are showing that maybe they're a little bit more exciting in this window. But then again, could it be that they're not being very exciting, but maybe have done things a little bit too late? Dylan, let's go on to Brighton and Hove Albion. Let's go to West Sussex. What do you make of their business?
Yeah, Brighton are a really exciting team and have started the season really well. But given how many little high-profile signings they've added, despite the club record deal for Luka Vuskovic, you'd be surprised at how well they've started. But you look at some of the players on there, you might not recognise them by name. Luka Vuskovic joining for a club record fee, and Pascal Strout was an established Premier League centre-half before they signed him from Leeds. But other than that, you don't really look at their names of incomings on paper and really recognise that many. But for Brighton, I think if a lot of these signings turn out to be master strokes, as Tony Bloom has become to known characterised for, I think that's going to be that would be very little surprise to see a few of the names mentioned in there going for 70, 80 million plus in a few years' time. And I'm no doubt that a few of them maybe won't end up like that. But Brighton have lost a few key players, Baleba, Welbeck, Van Hekken to mention, but I think Vuskovic is a great signing, and I'm really excited to see what Brighton can do this year. I think Herzl is a great manager, and I think overall, I think Brighton fans will be happy with their window.
Lots of incomings, lots of outgoings. They are a very sensibly run football club. So yes, that is Brighton in a nutshell. Bournemouth, Brighton, Brentford, we all seem to have the same philosophy. I tell you what, let's go on to Chelsea. Hell of a lot of activity. And Dylan, I'm going to come back to you about Chelsea actually, because it'll be interesting to get your take, because they're always seen as a bit of a basket case. Manny, I know we've discussed Chelsea before, but Chelsea are a bit of a basket case when you look at it. But have they tried to sort out their issues that have plagued them for too long?
Definitely, yeah. When I look at Chelsea and I look at the list in front of us, I'm really focusing on the outs there. I mean, look at some of the dead wood that they've been able to shift on, and look at the fees they've commanded for them. Getting 45 million for Andre Santos, who's had 1 year in the Premier League. Nicholas Jackson, 65 million was a rumoured fee. Cucurella leaving the club is a big loss, but that's a great fee for a left-back. And some of the other players that they mentioned on there, I'm sure we've been unable to fit them all into one. But for Chelsea, for me, if I had to call it right now, I think they've won the transfer window. They've added excellent experience in Martinez, Welbeck, Henderson, and Maxence Lacroix, while also adding some really exciting young players. We know the quality Morgan Rogers will add to this team. He's already shown that in his first 2 games. Palestra, I think, has had a great pre-season, and I think he'll do really well there. And obviously, for me, their biggest incoming is Xabi Alonso, a really top-class manager who I think is going to do really well for Chelsea this season, especially with no European football. So overall, I think Chelsea have had a really excellent window, some really smart outgoings and getting some brilliant fees for them, as well as some really smart incomings, which normally you wouldn't say around Chelsea in the last few years. So I think they've been really savvy in the market, and I'm a really big fan of the window they've had.
I honestly think that they are right up there, and I think that they are going to be competitors for the title as well this season, considering how it's all coming together and how it's all gelling. Still, these players all have to work together. It's a long old season, but I think it's very, very exciting days for Chelsea fans. And maybe that basket case title or tagline that they've had for so long might be shifting. Let's go over to Coventry City. And Manny, I'm going to come back to you. Frank Lampard, of course, he's got his work cut out to keep Coventry in the top flight. What do you make of their business?
I can't say I know too much of the outgoings that have taken place. Probably they've been players who've played their part, or some of it, in the championship season when they, of course, won the championship.
Yeah,
But Frank has sort of decided, they can't be a part of his plans going forward. Of course, the goalkeeper Rushford, who was on loan from Brighton last season, has signed for them permanently, and he will certainly have a role to play. But he's found life difficult. Shipped 3 against Arsenal and 1 against Hull, so he's going to have to make sure that he gets up to speed. And certainly a lot of players from Africa. Iwani, of course, has Premiership experience with Nottingham Forest. Hamer, of course, we know from no, that's Ben Hamer, but this guy was from Sheffield United. And Steve will obviously know Onyeka from Brentford, of course. Pinnock also joins from the Bees. Dan Bentley, another goalkeeper who's joined from Wolverhampton. And so it's not necessarily a great window in terms of buying some really exciting players, but more solid professionals whose job will be to help keep Coventry up. And I think it's a decent window, and certainly Frank should be able to get the best out of the squad.
Of course, Gustavo Hamer is a big one, returning to Coventry City, where he is much loved. Of course, the club have been outside of the Premier League since the early noughties, so they will be desperate to stay in the top flight. But they need to improve on what happened this weekend, because, the game against Hull, you would have thought Coventry would have beaten them, but it didn't work out like that. Which brings me on to another team that are fancied to struggle this year, but seem to have left everything a little bit late. But again, very, very interesting. Dylan, what do you make of the Eagles?
Yeah, absolutely. Like you say, Craig, they're leaving it really late. They've purchased a young Chilean winger, Dario Osorio, today from Midtjylland, a record sale for the Danish league. They're also expected to complete deals for Quinton Timber, the Marseille midfielder, brother of Urian, and Ben Chilwell. It looks like that's going to be a free transfer as he returns to the Premier League from Strasbourg after finding some good form there. So really, Palace have left it really late. There was such a big drama today, which I'm sure we're going to touch on in a little while at Sunderland. They look like they aren't going to sign Malik Fofana now. He completed a medical for both teams, but he has in the end chosen to go to Sunderland after both teams bid around £35 million for him. So they have lost out, but they have already done their due diligence, by bringing in another attacker in Osorio. So other than that, you see some of their other additions up there. I think Oscar Mingueza is a brilliant bit of business, bringing him in on a free with lots of Premier League experience, and bringing back a couple of loanies from last year in Axel Dizazi and Evan Gessan. So overall for Palace, I think they'll definitely go through a transition period now. It's yet to be seen if Pierre Sage is going to do well in the Premier League. But overall, I think Palace, despite how they've left it, even, if they can get some of the aforementioned deals over the line in the next half hour, I think fans can be pretty happy with their window, especially the fact they've kept hold of Adam Wharton and Dean Henderson, 2 key players. So overall, I think a decent window for Crystal Palace. But like you said, I do think they'll struggle, especially trying to balance it with Europa League football.
Yeah, 100%. And welcome to the Everton stream. Funny enough, it feels like that's what it is tonight. Everton have found renewed optimism in the Balogun deal with half an hour to go. David Moyes needs to get his skates on if he wants to get this across the line. And the Tigers look the busiest in the last hour. It makes a change from speaking about the Toffees. Hull have signed right back Brooke Norton-Cuffy from Genoa, with Cody Drameh joining the Serie A side in return. So there we are. There is a little bit of news. And coming on to the world's most boring football club, who wants to take this one? Manny, Dylan,
I think,
go on.
we've actually spoken quite a lot about Everton. So you're right, Craig. It is more or less the Everton show. Obviously, talking a lot about the Grealish return. And,
Oh,
Steve.
breaking news.
I'll take this one.
Go on.
Next.
There we are. I love that. That's brilliant. So, yes.
You're doing a good service there, Matt. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Matt. We didn't really want to talk about the Toffees. They're the world's most boring football club, in my opinion. Manny, do you want to talk about Fulham?
Well, talk about pulling the rug from under me. I mean, that was uncalled for. Seriously.
It was deserved. It was deserved. It's bloody Everton, for God's sake.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Manny. I'm Team Matt here. I did not want to talk about them at all.
Yeah.
Whatever. You boys have proven that you can be incorrigible by this. What it is. So if we have to talk about Fulham, if there's one team I do not like speaking about more than Everton, it's Fulham. Steve can vouch for this. I say that they are literally the most unambitious club in the Premier League. You would think that with their background and their, a penchant for, exciting football at times, that they would want to try and, I wouldn't say emancipate themselves, but improve themselves by maybe going on a cup run and seeing how far they can go. But no, they just seem to be happy with mid-table mediocrity, a typical Jekyll and Hyde side. And Alvaro Arbeloa getting as many Real Madrid youth players as he possibly can won't change that. We know that he's already signed Garcia and another chap from Real Madrid earlier. Now he's added Palacios to the... Garcia's the other one. Yeah, that's right. And did he sign someone else? I think I don't remember. And then Shea Charles, obviously, a quite expensive buy, the Northern Ireland international. And a couple of players, one for a youth player from Bayern Munich, I think. He's let go of several players who, of course, have, served their purpose. Lukic and Diop have gone to Ipswich Town, and we will talk about them. Raul Jimenez has gone back home, in a way, to Molineux. Harry Wilson to Leeds. It seems to me that he's just doing away with a lot of the experience in the squad in favour of, having a more youthful squad. But I think anyone can tell you that based on how he did at Real Madrid, replacing Xabi Alonso, I really don't see him doing very much with this Fulham team. And Fulham have had a pretty poor start this season, losing 3-2 to Xabi Alonso's Chelsea. And then they should have gotten something against Sunderland, but they didn't have a single shot on target right up there at the Stadium of Light. It was completely dark for the Cottagers. So I'm not really that confident about this transfer window, because many of the players that they've signed are either young or unproven, or in certain cases both. And Steve and I actually have them to potentially struggle, and they could be candidates for relegation. So, Cottagers, you are going to have to get your act together. And of course, you would think I'd have a soft spot for them as well, given that 3 ex-Gunners are in that team, Leno, Iwobi, and Smith Rowe. But they just seem to disappoint me more often than otherwise. And it wasn't too long ago that under Roy Hodgson, they reached the Europa League final. But those days are long gone, and now they're just happy with mediocrity. So, frankly, I have nothing but contempt for the Cottagers right now.
There we are. There we are. They aren't the most exciting team in the Premier League, and I think they could well struggle. Mr. B, Steve, has said Norton Covey gone to Hull, which Arsenal will make money from, as he's played for them for a while. Manny, stop talking about Fulham. They don't exist. There's only one team in Fulham, says Reese. Like button just got Claymore kicked. And Reese has said, this Everton hate is very unneeded. Incredibly entertaining football club. What have you been smoking, Reese? Honestly. I tell you what, Dylan, do you want to take Hull?
Yeah, let's quickly mention Hull then, who've obviously added a lot of players in their best attempt to stay up in the league this year. They have taken their signings over £100 million this year, and they are not yet done. There was a statement from their owner saying between 10 and 11 p.m, be careful because the Tigers are going to roar. They are not done yet. We know that they've signed Tim Urabunum, and there's still more players yet to come through. There's meant to be a forward coming from Union Berlin called Ilias Anya. They're also trying to finalise a deal late on for Roma forward Rubinho Vaz. So there is still a lot going on, and we just mentioned Brooke Norton Cuffey. So overall, I don't think Hull are going to be able to stay up this year. I think they've added a lot of players, but whether they can get them all ticking for the entire season, I'm not sure. I think Noble Mendy looks like a decent signing from the get-go after his goal against Man United. I think Hidemasa Morita is going to add some excellent depth in midfield. But overall, I'm not sure they're going to be able to stay up. So, in fairness, they've given it their best attempt, and they've really had a lot of high turnover in players. But whether they've still got the quality amongst the squad to remain in the league, that's a question we're only going to have the answer to come May. So, overall, credit to Hull for giving it their best attempt, but I'm not sure it's going to be enough to keep them up, Craig.
How can you say that? They beat Manchester United on the first day. They've got 2 wins out of 2.
Yeah, wow. They've got off to a very, very good start.
So.
And we've got mauled by the Tigers, raw, and then Reese has confirmed it's raw. And I don't know if this is in favour of Fulham or against Fulham. Barragus has said, up the cottagers and their posh little riverside place.
Could be sarcasm for all we know.
I think it probably is. Right, let's move on. Ipswich Town, and my mate Gary O'Neill. They've been very, very, very busy. Manny, just very quickly, what's your make? Oh, Matt doesn't want to talk about Gary's side.
No, I was only joking.
Manny, I could talk about Gary O'Neill till the cows come home, but I tell you what, I'm going to let Manny do it. Go for it, mate.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you very much indeed. And I've actually got this team to potentially stay up, given the quality of players they've signed. And, Steve is still a little bit cheesed up over the fact that they got Days and Maeda to join them from Celtic, where, of course, alongside a certain Julian Araujo, he won the Scottish League and Cup double. And they've signed some players who have some experience in the Premier League. Fatawi was, of course, with Leicester not too long ago. Sasa Lukic and Issa Diop, as I mentioned, joined from Fulham. Chuba Akpom is a former Arsenal youth player, but Ezequiel Palacios, an Argentinian World Cup winner. That could pretty well prove to be a good signing for Ipswich and a sign that they are serious about, making a case to stay up. Although, we will see how long this lasts, because I do seem to remember Gonzalo Montiel signing for Nottingham Forest. That didn't last very long. And obviously they've sent away some players who've been good servants over the years, but who probably won't have much of a future. I see Connor Townsend's one of them. Ashley Young, of course, retired at the end of the season after helping them get promoted. And I know Kieran Slicker, who is a young Scottish goalkeeper, probably expect him to, challenge for the number 1 shirt now that Craig Gordon's retired and Angus Gunn has gone to play in America. I don't rate Angus Gunn. I remember the Southampton 9-0 against Leicester City. No, nothing more needs to be said. Some good business here. Certainly, they haven't spent too much compared to the bigger teams, but they brought in some very decent players indeed. And it does seem quite clear to me that Gary O'Neill is very serious about doing everything to keep Ipswich in the Premier League. And certainly after, the fairy tale under Kieran McKenna went sour, Ipswich, want to come back and prove themselves. And obviously, Craig, you and Matt will know that when the Cherries got promoted, it was wonderful at first, but then you got relegated and had to work hard to come back. And now back you are, and here to stay, and we're all grateful. So maybe Gary can bring some of that Bournemouth magic to Portland Road. We'll have to see, but I do have them staying up. I do think that they can do very well. I'm not going to read too much into the unfortunate reverse against United at Old Trafford. United were just a wounded animal who wanted to, set the score straight. And let's not forget, they had that humiliating loss against Hull City. There's no way they could have afforded to lose to another promoted team. So Ipswich are going to do fine. I've got faith in them.
There we go. And then another deal has been done. Hull, who have been very busy this evening, have announced another late deadline day signing, bringing in Rubino Vaz on loan from Roma. There we go. There we are. And just very quickly before we move on, Ipswich, all those players they signed didn't help them last time. I think Gary O'Neill might help them scrape through, in my honest opinion. Mr. B saying about Fulham, nothing posh about it. What a dump.
Boy, that's harsh. They're a stylish club, obviously, but they just, the less said about their football team at this point, the better. I used to enjoy them, now I don't.
Well, Barragus has said a little bit, but I do like their view. Well, if you like a view of the River Thames, you could always go to Reading or Slough. Or you might not want to look at it at all, to be perfectly honest. It's probably the best option. And what's everybody's favourite biscuit of choice? I like a chocolate chip cookie or a hobnob, but we'll come to that at the end. I'll tell you what, that's a conversation for 15 minutes time. Deal sheets at the ready. I'll tell you what, let's move on to Leeds United. Dylan, what do you make of Leeds?
There we are. I was just on mute there. But yeah, I think Leeds have had a terrific window. I think, like I mentioned earlier, if you had to ask me right now who's won the window, I would say Chelsea, but I'd have Leeds in a comfortable second place there, or maybe even top three. Look, I think Trafford is an absolute coup. They're bringing in a future England number one and a really top-class goalkeeper. I think he could have easily slotted into most teams in the league, and Leeds is an excellent signing. I think it's a really great pickup as well in Tarek Muharemovic. He's looked really solid in his last two games at Leeds, and he's a defensive monster, great pace, physicality, game reading. He just looks a complete package, and I think he's going to have a really great campaign with Leeds. And I also think Harry Wilson on a free transfer is also a great bit of business after the breakout. Well, not breakout because he is a player in his late 20s now, but after his best ever Premier League campaign last season. So overall, I think Daniel Farke's got some excellent players at his disposal, despite some of the players that they've listed there to leave the club. But I think Strauch leaving, Muharemovic in, and then some other fringe players or players who've had their time also leaving the club. I think Leeds have been very sensible, and they've got a brilliant squad. I could easily see them pushed in for the top 10 this season.
And another deal has been done. Ipswich have sealed a deal for Zian Fleming from Fulham.
It's from Burnley, I think that should be.
Oh, from Burnley.
That's my mistake. Yeah, I think.
Burnley. Sorry about that. From Burnley.
From Burnley. There we are.
Stop the bin man Parker's Burnley. Let's not forget.
Yes. Fulham are that boring. We're giving them players for other teams to sign. I tell you what, let's go on to our next team. Oh, I've got to give this one to you, Dylan. Liverpool. Your beloved Liverpool. Go on.
Yeah, my beloved Liverpool, who have really, really frustrated me in the last few months. Look, I am over the moon that Andoni Iraola is our manager now, but don't really get this twisted. I think we've had a really, really poor window. We've had so many key players leave, and the one player that we could have sold and actually made some money over, we sold Curtis Jones for a really minimal fee of £30 million. I think in this midfielder market, I think he's worth much more than that. I'm really happy that we got Barcola over the line. I think this is an excellent lights-out winger that's going to really excite in the Premier League. And Xhaka already is looking like he's a really smart pickup, and so is Victor Munoz after his goal against Nottingham Forest. But we needed a lot more than that. We needed right-back cover after Jeremy Frimpong's poor year last year, because funnily enough, he isn't a right-back. He's a very much right-forward, and that's where he played under Xabi Alonso. He's not a right-back, and he's looked really poor there to start the year. But we haven't got right-back cover until Conor Bradley returns in March. Then at left-back, we've had Kostas Tsimikas, who was frozen out at Roma last year because he wasn't good enough. Now he's expected to come and deputise for Kirkes, who I expect to have a really good year under his former mentor, Iraola, now only at Anfield. That's not good enough as well. And at centre-half, yes, we've signed Araujo, but that we've got alongside Van Dijk, we've now got Xhaka, an injury-prone Gomez, and a Ronald Araujo. And then in midfield as well. I mean, we're really lacking depth there now. We're expecting Trey Neone to step up. We rejected a £30 million bid from Nottingham Forest to retain him, and we've got Wataru Endo back now. But again, this midfield depth is really concerning for me. So a little bit like Chelsea, while we may be all guns blazing in attack, and we finally see the likes of Florian Wirtz and Alexander Isak come into form at Anfield, and we've still got some really exciting young talent in Munoz, Ungamoa, Lewis Kumas. I think we are going to really struggle this year, and I think we needed to do a lot more in the transfer window to sustain us. So generally, that's my view. I think we needed a lot more depth going in, but overall, the players that I'm here, I am happy they are at Anfield this year.
I think
Dylan,
you'll compete.
Yeah, Dylan, I just want to say that there was a...
No, I think you'll compete to win the league. Yeah, I think.
Oh
you'll be
wow!
right.
I would rip your hand off for that, but I just don't think we've got the depth to compete.
Yeah, Dylan, there was also news which was, I think, confirmed, and I think maybe Matt can back us up on this, of a certain Harvey Elliott going to Valencia on loan. Now, I've been following Elliott, obviously, and it's really sad how things have, declined or deteriorated with him, whichever word you like to choose, because, England under 21 captain when we won the Euros, a lot of things were expected from him. But then he had that horrible loan spell at Aston Villa. I think Iriola said that he wanted to give him the chance in pre-season, but instead he's opted to send him away. I think it's fair to say that his Liverpool days are now, done and dusted, right? Yeah,
well, his contract expires next year, I believe. So already we've got to look at how we're going to renew his contract when he's back from Valencia. But unfortunately, Iriola looks like he's had a look at him in pre-season, trying to loan him out and get some minutes under Carlos Corberán in Valencia. But unfortunately, he's a player beloved by Liverpool fans, but I don't think he's got a long-term future at the club. I think you're right there, Manny.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to have to thunder through the next couple of teams because we are getting very, very, very close to the end of the transfer window. Manchester City, Manny, just very quickly, what do you make of them? Can they compete? Can they challenge? Or do you think they're going to be also rans?
They've got money to burn. They've spent it. They've loaned out several of their players. They've sold some players who are no longer part of the future. As long as they start clicking, I think they're going to be fine. They've won their first two games. Haaland scoring goals, Shirky scoring goals. What's not to like? I think they'll challenge, and they're going to want to, reclaim the title they lost from us. But we'll see what happens with them.
Yes, I think Man City, they're going to be right up there. And, oh, hang on. I've just written something. Can you see that? 115 question mark. We're still waiting, Premier League. We're still waiting. Dylan, let's go to Manchester United. What do you make of them?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, at first glance, Jesus, you look at that outgoing list. They've gotten a lot of players out on loan, it seems. But let's talk about the incomings. I think they've really smartly rebuilt their midfield. I'm a really big fan of the Yuri Tielemans signing. Started the Premier League in the worst way imaginable, really, losing 2-0 at Hull City. But looked really positive against Ipswich on the weekend. So for United, I think there are some tougher games to come, but I think they've smartly rebuilt their midfield. And I think they're going to have enough to really push for the top 5 place this year, as well as being competitive in the Champions League. The only area of worry for me there, defensive depth, but that's for the season to find out. So I think for Michael Carrick, I think he can be happy with the players that he's brought in, and still retaining some key players there will mean United are going to have a really good season, I think.
There we go. There we are. And of course, Newcastle have signed Lille forward ahead of the transfer deadline in a deal worth 51 million. So yes, Nick Watermader has made a loan switch to Juventus as well. Newcastle have been very, very busy. Of course, Eddie no longer at the helm. Manny, what do you make of them? Are you surprised that they're doing so well, or do you think the wheels are going to fall off?
I don't see the wheels falling off anytime soon because, having to lose to Nali, Guimaraes, Gordon, and several other, players who have been there for quite a long time, it was always going to be difficult. But they did get some good money for Tonali and Guimaraes respectively, and and of course Gordon was the high-profile exodus mentioned in the graphic. But they also spent reasonably well. Gonzalez and Fernandez Pardo, and they've gotten 2 new goalkeepers. Hornacek's done quite well, as is Jowan, Laji Bamba. I think we're probably going to have to accept that this is going to be a season of rebuilding because it's Yasla's first season. He was a big winner, of course, back in Saudi, but the Premiership is a different kettle of fish. He's going to want to try to make sure that they finish a little bit higher than 12th last season, which is probably what prompted the Saudi Arabian consortium to decide in the end that somehow could no longer take the team forward. But then the following seasons, I think they could end up doing really well and starting to cook a little bit. So we're going to see how this team develops. So, yeah, they're going to be fine. I don't see them under any threat of relegation, but I know they'll want to do more for themselves, and the fans will also want them to do more. So we'll see how that pans out, certainly in the coming days and months.
Well, there's almost 5 minutes left. And Dylan, we're going to go on to Nottingham Forest. What do you make of Forest?
Absolutely, yeah. The Ollie Glasner era has started at Nottingham Forest, and I think they've picked up some really good signings, especially in Daniel Munoz reuniting with his former coach at Crystal Palace. I think Liam Delap is a massive omen of payment. You're paying £45 million almost for a player with 3 Premier League goals last season. I think that was an absolutely abysmal signing on their point. If I'm being totally honest, I'm really not a fan of that deal. But other than that, I think Schlager on a free deal, a player with lots of Bundesliga experience, is a great midfield pickup. And Ousmane Diomande, a player Crystal Palace were linked with for many years, and now they've brought him to the Premier League at Nottingham Forest. So overall, I think that's very decent. They did make a late attempt today to bring Jacob Murphy to the club, but Newcastle rejected those advances. That comes after they let Amari Hutchinson go to AC Milan, as it says on there. So obviously the big missing out from them this season will be Elliot Anderson, but they got a really great fee for them, a British record at the time, and now they've replaced him well with Schlager and Gustavo Sar. So overall, I think it's a window Forest fans can be happy with as they prepare for another season in the Premier League.
Just some breaking news now. Borrington, as I'm going to rename them, have signed Ainsley Maitland-Niles. He's completed his medical and he has signed for Everton. So there we are. I love it how you put their Craig's number 1 team.
That's former Arsenal player Ainsley Maitland-Niles, part of that FA Cup winning team. I'm glad he's back in the Premier League. Another one for whom I have nothing but time, and I hope he does.
Well, I tell you what, let's go. And I'm going to save the last one for you, Manny, because you know who it is. But Dylan, Sunderland, what do you reckon?
Yeah, Sunderland have also left it a little bit late. It seems there were talks earlier in the window that Granit Xhaka may end up at Chelsea, but in the end, the club never sanctioned that deal, and then Chelsea pivoted to Jordan Henderson. But the major breaking news today is that they will be getting Malik Fofana from Lyon after that big tug of war between them and Crystal Palace. His medical's done, and he has chosen to join them, so that is going to be their marquee signing. They have also added smartly Kevin Danzo on loan from Tottenham Hotspur. I think that's an interesting move as well. And they've had some decent outgoings as well. The most high profile for me has to be Mayenda going to Rennes for a decent fee. And Simon Adingra is set to sign for Ajax on a season-long loan as well. So factor in some of their other smart bits of business. I think Meffeli is going to add some great depth at left wing back. And I think Munier is going to add some great experience. So overall for Sunderland, have they prepared for their first season in the Europa League in so many years? Yes, I think they have done quite well, but I do think they are going to struggle. So Reggie Lebris is going to have to do a lot with the squad at his disposal. But we knew what he did with it last year. A brilliant finish for them. And I'd expect them to be safe in the Premier League this year.
I'm going to disagree. I think they'll struggle. I think it'll be a case of second season blues, and they're going to find it really difficult. But we'll see what happens.
Well, there is a done deal. Leeds have signed Nice left-back Melvin Bard. He's on loan with an option to buy of 4.28 million. So there we are. Well, there is one more side that we've got left to go. Manny, you probably know who it is, don't you? And we've got all of 2 minutes to discuss them as the window is coming to a close. Matt, do you have any more breaking news? Nothing at the moment. Shake of the head, but he's on it. He's on the ball. We will be carrying on a little bit after, just in case there's things that are just getting done. But Manny, discuss your favourite team.
Mr. Harrison, could you intervene, please? I don't think so. Well, of course, Tosin is not very well rated by Chelsea, of course, and he's gone to sign for them. Go figure. Mikhailo Mudryk, of course, who has a new lease of life after having his suspension for drug-related issues halved. He's now able to play, but clearly Xabi Alonso thinks that a move across London from the west to the north might be good for him. We'll see how he does with Bobby De Zerbi. And then signing 2 players he's wanted to work with for some time, of course. And, and of course, as mentioned here, he's tipped Mudryk as a future Ballon d'Or winner. But the thing about Spurs is they were literally the ones who made some of the biggest moves in the transfer market for the and spent a great deal of money getting Sandro Tonali and Matheus Fernandes. And even then, they are currently bottom of the league, ahead of Aston Villa, though, due to alphabetical order, among other things, because they both have identical records. So that is a horrible way to, finish below an opponent. But in addition, the thing about Spurs is that ever since they sacked Ange Postecoglou after winning the Europa League, I've had nothing but absolute contempt for them. Even as an Arsenal fan, I don't want them to succeed, but I have a lot of respect for the way they won it and what the job the manager did. And I thought that, this is a well-deserved success and they could start to turn the corner and become a serious club. And then Daniel Levy says, nope, apparently we want to be Spursy again. We don't care about trophies. It's all about league positioning. And what's happened since then? Another season in 17th, thanks to the Danish Graham Potter. And now there's some Italian hipsters come in and he started badly. And they still find a way to play Ange Postecoglou. They're not a serious club as far as I'm concerned. And frankly, they're not going to qualify for Europe. They're not going to, they'll probably end up finishing mid-table if they're lucky. And that might be the best thing that can happen to them after 2 seasons finishing 17th. Can't be bothered.
Manny, the window is shut. The window is being closed. Just a couple of things as well that was just popping up. We do have a deal sheet. Sunderland have submitted a deal sheet for Malik Fofana, and Feyenoord are in talks to sign former Arsenal winger Reece Nelson. The 26-year-old is a free agent after leaving the Premier League champions last week. So there we are. The transfer window is closed. And just to complete the picture, there's Spurs' ins and outs. Anything to add to any of that, guys?
Martin Dubravka should be their starting goalkeeper. Marmoush and Savio will regret joining that club on loan. And if they fail to qualify for Europe, Spurs are going to lose a great deal of money. Many of those signings are going to want to walk away. Couldn't happen to a more deserving group of people. Bunch of absolute so-and-sos.
There we are. And Dylan, anything to comment on Spurs?
Yeah, I think it's a decent window for Spurs. It's certainly an expensive window. I think it may be around the most expensive transfer window in Premier League history, especially if Mudryk's deal does become permanent in the end. But in terms of deadline day deals, like it says on there, they've got Pape Matar Sarr out to Juventus. Kevin Danzo's gone to Sunderland. They were unfortunate in having the Njai deal ransacked, but I think you're looking at their front three now, which looks like it's going to be Savio, Solanke, Marmoush throughout most of this year. I think that's a great front three to have. So I'm a little bit more optimistic on how Spurs will do this season, despite how poorly they've started it. So let's just, but if they finish literally anywhere higher than 17th, that's got to be a success for them. So let's just wait and see. If I'd predict 16th.
And you say they'll do well.
There we are. Matt, any more breaking news?
Hold on 1 second. Let's see. Let's see. What have we got here? No, just that Ipswich have beaten the deadline to sign Fleming, which we know, and that Brighton have loaned out a winger to Middlesbrough. But other than that, nothing exciting. And I think that kind of wraps the window up pretty well.
Yes. I am just going to go through some more comments as well. Also, there was a couple of things that was mentioned that I just want to bring up as well. Some funnies to finish off the evening. By the way, lads, I've checked everywhere on our transfer window, and Jensen and Yarmulke haven't been sold, so the info's wrong. We'll have to double check that. Is Kamara to Chelsea a done deal? I believe it is, isn't it, Matt?
Say again?
Kamara to Chelsea.
I'd imagine that's going to be a deal sheet. I'd imagine.
Yes. Leslie Ugachukwu is in the chat. Newcastle will be safe, actually, from what I have seen. So there we go. Newcastle have started off quite well and was quite impressed with them, actually. Just the one Premier League goal for Delap last season. Yep. We extended Jensen's contract for a start, so he wasn't going anywhere anyway. Let's hope it's not a Bard signing. Maybe it's Shakespeare at left back. Mudryk never had a lease of life to begin with. Oh, is that about Bard?
Yeah, that's what the Melbourne Bard, the left back.
Oh, do you know what? I didn't really get that. You know, I didn't get that. Thanks for that, Steve. Bobby Dispersey, as Mr. B's put, in the Mudryk. Good luck to Firenude. He is shit. I'm just going for all these comments. Not biased at all, Manny. Spurs are back. There is to poo. And I give it till match week 8 when Jason Cundy has a Deserby mask on. Oh, do you know what? I think I actually would want to buy him one actually as well. Just want to bring up this comment as well, and I want everybody's views on this. What's everyone's biscuit of choice? Mr. B for Life said a custard cream. Guys, biscuit of choice.
Jammy Dodger.
Jammy Dodger. Can't beat a Jammy Dodger.
Yeah, for me, I loved eating ginger cake when I was younger. Anything ginger, of course, would be, quite heavily flavored with sugar added. So, I mean, I still enjoyed the taste. So for me, it's a ginger snap with chocolate digestive a close second.
Yes.
Yeah, chocolate digestive's up there, but I'd have to go Jaffa cake.
Jaffa cake. I'm going to raise your wagon wheel. Yeah, raise your wagon wheel on that one.
But is a Jaffa cake a biscuit? Or
it's legally a cake, yeah. I said it as a wind-up, yeah.
Yeah.
They took it to court and it's legally a cake, so really, yeah, chocolate digestive.
Oh, hang on. There is some breaking news.
Shame on you.
There is some breaking news.
Oh, it's
and this is it. Deal off. Lionel Messi has decided to stay at Inter Miami after Hereford offered a Mars bar Twix and a can of 7-Up. He wasn't sure on where Hereford was, and Beckham told him where to go.
There is actually some news. The Kamara deal for Chelsea is off.
It's off.
It's fell through. It's
no
off.
way.
There we go.
There we are. There was me trying to make a little bit of a joke at the end, and Matt's just come and absolutely destroyed that. I thought I'd add that for the Kidderminster fans because I don't think you really like Hereford, do you?
No, absolutely not. No, and oh my word, yeah, Lamine Kamara is off. That is honestly, I'm sorry, Reece.
I could just imagine a bus full of Kidderminster fans and say, when somebody asks me if I like football, I say yes. But not Hereford. Hereford can fuck off.
You've got it, Craig.
Exactly.
Oh, and I'm really sorry to laugh in Reese's face, but my word, that is the most comical way this stream could have ended for me. That is just absolutely brilliant. So here we were saying, Craig, if you could pull them up, I'd love to see some of Reese's earlier sentiments expressing how excited he was. Oh my god!
He's got two extremes. Oh dear, Reese. I'm not reading that one now. Poor old Chelsea, has said Mr. B.
He was so
poor old
excited
Chelsea.
for Kamara to
He
come,
was
and
so excited, and it's
he
just
will
gone to
remain
shit.
a Monaco player. That's incredible.
And debatable whether Jaffa cakes are biscuits as well. What do you reckon, guys? What do you reckon?
Yeah, that was probably a reason why I didn't mention them, because they are quite soft in some ways, and they are like mini cakes more than biscuits. But yeah, that was why I'm glad. I said ginger snaps and chocolate digestives. You can't beat
the update on the deal is after reaching a full written club-to-club agreement, Monaco have gone back on their word. The player had his medical and was going to travel to London tomorrow, but the deal is now off.
There we are.
There you go.
There we are. Well, and I just want to. Oh, there's some more. Mr. B has said they're not biscuits, Jaffa cakes. So yeah, sorry, Dylan, they're not biscuits. They don't count.
Yeah, I have to concur. I think it's legal precedent as well that they're cakes now. So yeah, I'll give it to chocolate digestives.
Chocolate digestives, there we are. And Henderson Gusto, 2-man step at the Emirates on Sunday.
That's some midfield.
Oh dear. And we've got another comment, haven't we? Where are we? Oh no, we haven't. Oh, and I did want to bring something else as well. This comment was quite funny. Fulham is haunting the stream. Because, of course, they just kept popping up throughout the show. So, was Fulham haunting this stream, do you reckon?
Not that I would know.
Well, yeah, you never know.
Oh, hang on. Oh. No one likes Fulham. If you know, you know. Dylan's got it in one exactly what that was. Do you know what that was?
I'll be honest, I don't know what you're referencing, but I'm hoping you're just putting out a spell there.
No. Well, to be honest, it kind of is a spell. There was a really, really, really funny clip with Derek Akora years ago. I'm not going to make the funny sound that he made, but he started going all this funny, really funny sound, and then he started shouting at the top of his voice, "Mary loves Dick." Of course, Mary loves Dick, and honestly, it's absolutely hilarious. He's imagining Richard, of course, is Dick, but he didn't even think of it. I thought it was quite funny. So yeah, I thought it didn't really work, did it? No one likes Fulham is a little bit. What do you reckon, Matt?
No.
Yeah, I'm not going to win any comedy prizes with that one.
No. I think let's quit while you're ahead. I think is a good way of putting it.
A for effort.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, that is the transfer window done. Let us know what you think. Please hit like, hit subscribe, hit the bell button below. It helps this channel to grow. We have a lot of fun on this channel, as you can tell. Lots and lots of laughs. We're not all serious, not all the time. I'm most definitely not. I'm daft as a box of frogs. But yes, Dylan, it's been an absolute pleasure. I've only called you Reese twice tonight, which is an achievement. Didn't get the hat trick on the evening, but mate, honestly, absolutely loved it. The transfer shows, and we're going to be doing lots of stuff as well, aren't we?
Yeah, it's been an absolute blast, guys, these last few weeks, covering all the transfer news, especially around Bournemouth as well, which I've really enjoyed tapping into this community. It's been a really enjoyable time. And overall, I think it's been a window full of some absolutely massive headlines. So overall, yeah, it's been a really enjoyable time. Thanks for welcoming to the channel. And hopefully this is not the last you'll be seeing me on the channel. So yeah, once again, thank you so much for having me. And what a great window.
Mate, you're part of the furniture now. We want you on everything, to be honest. So, yes, there we are. Dylan, honestly, mate,
He will
brilliant.
be doing his little segment for us each week on our show on the sidelines. So he will be doing his. Yeah, put that one in there. But he will be doing his. Is it Premier? I think we're going to have a bit of Premier League news going forward from Dylan. So
Excellent.
Dylan will still be around each week, even though it'll be a pre-recorded segment. He'll still be with us. So feel good.
Yes. We'll find some other things as well that we'll jump on to, I'm sure.
Just you wait. Bournemouth versus Liverpool Saturday morning show on the sidelines. I will be there. So
in person, excellent.
Absolutely.
There we are.
So we will. That's going to be something to look forward to, eh?
Absolutely,
100%, mate. 100%. And Manny, I will definitely see you very, very soon. For Football Has a Problem. I know it's been delayed a couple of weeks with illness
Yes.
and how busy we've been, but yes, it's there. We are. Matt's done it back to me now. But yes, we will be discussing cups, won't we? Very, very soon.
Yes, definitely. I mean, cups, of course, they still have a lot of sentimental value, but these days they just don't pay the bills and they don't feed the tummies, and it's a sad thing it's a sad state of affairs, and we will be discussing that definitely, and I'm looking forward to that, of course. And let's not forget the European dream. We're all buzzing for that, and if you and Mr. Harrison do get to go and watch a game at Dean Court, I hope you enjoy the experience, especially against AC Milan.
Oh, one of your mates is taking the mick out of me. There we are.
Hurts that.
Can we keep getting Dylan on after the transfer show? Dylan's welcome, whenever he wants. I think we should do a regular thing now, shouldn't we? If you're up for it, mate. If you're up for it.
We'll have to negotiate, Craig. I think I've just rejected a call from Sky Sports. We'll have to see.
Yeah. And another great stream, guys. Thanks, Mr. B. Great stream, but my day has been ruined by a small nation near France. And lots more. Henderson on his walking stick. Outrageous behaviour from Monaco. Reece really is not happy about it, is he? Say up the Fulham. Henderson signed for Chelsea pensioners. No, say down the Fulham, says Mr. B. The Fulham talk continues. I'm going to let them carry on. Matt,
the Everton chat has stopped.
To be honest, that stopped as soon as we said the name Everton, really, didn't it? But Matt, thank you again, mate, for putting this all together. You've done an absolutely smashing job as always. And Manny, Dylan, you've been absolutely brilliant. And I'm going to give myself a bit of credit for just turning up today. So, yeah.
Well, I must just say thanks to Dylan for his notes each week, so I know what he wants to talk about and things like that. And thanks to Manny for bringing his knowledge each week. So, it's been good run of shows, and we'll be back with this, and hopefully the four of us in January. So, it'd be good.
Yes. And Reece has created his new YouTube channel, the Monaco Hate Watch. Get ready for the first video where he despises Monaco. Guys, if you are new, hit like, hit subscribe, hit the bell button below. It helps this channel to grow. Thank you again for joining us. I'm just going to play a couple of videos as we see everybody out. A bit about our kit bag offer on AFC Bournemouth kits, a little bit about Sky Sports, and then dental on. Then
I'll take the intro away. I'll carry on from them.
Yeah, fair enough. So thank you again, guys, and we shall see you in the next one. AFC Bournemouth fans, we have got something special for you. Up the Cherries has partnered with Kitbag to offer you special deals on your AFC Bournemouth shirts for the 26-27 season. Are you after the traditional home shirt made by Hummel? Are you after the away vibrant shirt in purple? or maybe the marshmallow third shirt. Whatever your choice is, you can get exclusive deals, discounts, and offers through Kitbag and through the link that is on the screen now. Scan it with your phone, the QR code, and it will take you straight away to the Kitbag site where all the details will be. We will also be putting up any special codes that you may need. So go check out Kitbag, the leading sports goods seller in the UK and beyond for all your AFC Bournemouth goods. Kitbag and Up the Cherries, partnering together to bring you your shirts this season.
This podcast is sponsored by Sky Sports, proud partners of the TalkSport Fan Network, where you can watch over 1,500 matches this season. With Marco Rose at the helm and the Cherries pushing for glory, there's no better time to watch us in even more Premier League games this season with Sky Sports. And the best bit, you can watch more of our Premier League matches live on Sky Sports than anywhere else this season. Sky Sports proudly sponsor the TalkSport Fan Network. Search Sky Sports today to watch the Premier League live on Sky Sports.
The TalkSport. TalkSport Fan Network.
The ultimate on-demand destination for the UK's best fan-led football podcasts.
Want authentic supporter insight on all things Bournemouth? Follow Up the Cherries in all departments on the TalkSport Fan Network.
Club-dedicated content created by the fans, for the fans.
Search TalkSport Fan Network.
I should be like you, Mel.